Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about reclaiming your power when you feel rejected.
And oh man, is rejection difficult.
Yeah, rejection is really tough. And when you have those early abandonment issues with your caregivers, that they made you feel neglected or unloved, or something could have happened in your early childhood, it makes rejection so much more difficult in your romantic relationships. You know, it took me a long time for me to realize why I was so sensitive about things. You know, my mom and my dad had a pretty nasty divorce when I was about a year and a half old. So, you think about a baby being attached to both of their parents and all of a sudden one is gone. That's devastating. I have kids. I know how much they're bonded to you, even at 6 months old. They're so happy to see you, and just for one of them to be gone would be a major trauma, but you can't put that into words or express it or explain it. And so that's why breakups can be so painful, and it can bring up so much from our past. And when you have those things happen when you're small, it really impacts your self-esteem, because on some unconscious level, we believe as kids that it was our fault, that we did something wrong, that we were unlovable. And you can't even sometimes put it into words how you feel small, uncared about, forgotten, and you just feel like this wonderful, amazing, perfect person has abandoned you, because we kind of see our parents like this perfect parent. And so now we kind of see our romantic partners as this perfect person who's abandoned you. So it's tough when you're going through that, and to take your power back and feel confident again.
Oh, yeah. And with rejection, it can feel like one of those things that piles up. Of course, the rejection from a parent can be one of the most painful. But I talk to many clients who a rejection from high school, a rejection from college. We were just talking about our middle school rejections because Craig had asked the question of what was your first rejection?
Yep.
And that came up. These things can stick with people, especially that first romantic rejection, because then you're starting to realize, oh man, I can put myself out there vulnerably and it be shut down, or it feel not good enough.
Yep.
And so that can be something that's really painful. And a lot of people carry that not good enough core wound. And that can be something that's really, really difficult to work with or work through.
And this is why you have to work on those things, because those early attachment traumas really come out in your romantic relationships.
Yeah. One reframing that can be really helpful, that I actually heard from, I think somebody called Guided Inspiration. They do people's expression readings and things like that. But she made a comment about rejection being redirection. She also talks about rejection being protection. And I do think that these reframes can be super helpful when dealing with the breakup and when feeling that rejection.
Yeah.
Because we do tend to take rejection so personally, and we forget that this is somebody else's decision. Hearing someone's no can be the most powerful thing we get from them, because it gives us that ability to direct ourselves. Hearing a no is arguably better than hearing a maybe, or hearing a we'll see. Because then you have some confirmation, something a little bit more solid to where you can say, all right, well then I'm going to, forge my path this way. And so redirection can be something that can be a helpful way of looking at that rejection. And a breakup, it really is a statement about your ex's capacity, emotional availability, and their readiness, rather than it is about your worthiness. So that's something really important to remember, because a lot of times we feel like our worth is based on whether our partner approves of us or not, or our worth is based on how many people like us or how many people would date us. One word that is used a lot in like the YouTube dating world is dating marketplace. And there's something about that word just that sends like the cringe throughout my body because we're talking about complex people, and when people interact, even that is so complex. Attraction is so complex. So that word dating marketplace, just gives me an icky feeling.
You don't like the friend zone term either.
I don't like that term either.
Yeah. So in the grocery store, there's a friend zone. There's at the dating marketplace.
I'm like, get me out of here. What kind of Whole Foods is this?
It's a nightmare for you.
I don't even shop at Whole Foods.
But when you're going through this, you feel desperate. You feel like you will do anything to have that other person and to make it work, to not lose them, to not let them go. And for some reason, our instinct is to beg. Mm-hmm. We think that if we beg them, they'll change their mind. And occasionally it does work. But what often happens is it's temporary.
Oh, yeah. And guilt. It's ridden with guilt. A lot of times when we do manage to beg somebody back into a relationship, they end up pitying us. And, we're not reclaiming our power in that way. We're just kind of having this temporary guilt from this person until they have more strength to be more honest with what they're feeling and what they're going through.
Yeah. But when you do that and you're begging and you're trying to, get another opportunity, it just kind of makes them see you as a lower value in their eyes. They're pitying you. They feel sad for you. They're not attracted or excited to see you. They're kind of like trapped, like, what am I doing in this situation? And they want to get out of it even more. Mm-hmm. But you feel like it's the only thing that you can do is to make those bids to connect. But in actuality, the stronger thing is to show confidence, like, okay, if you want to walk away, and then they're going to rethink it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. And another powerful reframe is to think about, do you want to be with somebody who does not want to be with you? Right? We can have longing for someone. We can want to repair a relationship. We can want to reunite with our ex. But thinking about ultimately, if they're not willing to commit, if they're not willing to reach out, if they're not willing to start that process, we have to think for ourselves, what are we wanting here? Mm-hmm. So this can be an important reframe too. I don't want you to put yourself in that position where you're basically interviewing to be someone's partner and you have to show or prove that you're good enough to someone.
Yeah.
Right? So we don't want you to put yourself in that position. We want you to put yourself in that position of, is this a situation that works for me? And so in taking and reclaiming that power, you are now putting yourself in the decider's position too. Of course, they made the decision to end the relationship. That was unilateral. That was their decision. And we have to learn how to accept that decision with dignity. And, in the moment that they revisit, we also have to put ourselves in that position of, this relationship happened and now this breakup has happened. How do I view this situation? Is this something that I'm still willing to repair and work with? So we want you to be honest with yourselves if you want to repair the relationship. But I also want you to think of, if this person truly isn't willing to meet you where you're at and be committed to being a good partner to you just as you are to them, then is that a situation that you want? Because that one-sided type of relationship can lead to lower self-esteem, can lead to you compromising more than you would, can lead to you not getting your needs being met. And initially, when you're going through a breakup, you're like, I'll take anything I can get. I don't care. I just want to be with them, right? But play it forward 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years. This kind of dynamic doesn't work. We need agreeableness. We need two people who are willing to commit.
Absolutely. It's the only way to make it work. You're struggling. It's hard. It's hard not to be consumed by your ex and what your ex is doing. And that just becomes your obsession, but you need to invest in yourself. Your life is your movie, and you need to be the star of your movie, not your ex. Okay? I've been saying that for a long time. Focus on you, what you need, what you're looking for, how you can grow, how you can become more confident. Look at what you did right in the relationship, what you did that you wish you could change, and focus on getting better in those areas, improving those skills, and you'll feel so much better. The stuff that we teach, like in the creative healing course and the workbooks, is very enlightening. And when you feel enlightened, you don't feel so lost and confused. Mm-hmm. You feel like you know the direction you're supposed to go intrinsically, because you feel good about who you are. and you know what's important to you. And part of that is wanting somebody who wants to be with you.
Yeah, exactly. And we know that, many of you come to our channel, you learn about different attachment styles. Maybe you learn that you've developed a more insecure attachment style. And these insecure attachment styles can lead you to be more rejection sensitive. I know there's like that RSD term, going around too, just about rejection sensitivity. And so being able to work through that, being able to not be as afraid of rejection can get you into a more secure spot. And it's hard. I know in the past we've talked about those people who are doing like, what do they call it? Rejection training, where they basically put themselves in positions where it's highly likely that they'll get rejected in order to basically desensitize themselves from that. I think that's funny. If you're into that, you should, research some of that.
People are like, I have gone through enough right now. Thanks, but not interested. Then one painful rejection is enough. Any other rejection is going to feel tiny compared to the rejection of a breakup.
That's true. That is true. That is true. But working through that rejection can get you to a more confident place where now you're thinking, okay, more so, what do I want? Can I be bold enough to ask even if I hear a no? So.
All right. Hopefully this one's been helpful to you. If you'd like to get our help personally, you could do that on my website, askgreg.net. I do email coaching and I do Zoom calls. Coach Victoria is also available for Zoom calls.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. That's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.